Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big one in the Peach Bowl. This is a big one too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play from scrimmage.
Bearcat Blitz, welcome in, FC fans, to another edition of the show. I'm your host, Russ Heltman of Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, flying solo as we take things into the weekend, a desert weekend for the Cincinnati Bearcats basketball team, touching on their big loss, lowest scoring output of the season so far, 77-51 at the hands of the number one team in the nation on Wednesday night. The Arizona Wildcats and Wes Miller's team staying in Arizona to face the Arizona State Sun Devils this coming weekend in another road matchup. Dive into all of that. We'll welcome back Neil Meyer from the frontofficenews.com next week for our normal recording schedule. Then plenty to touch on in this episode, including the lowly performance from Cincinnati. They got diced up in the final 10 minutes of this contest. Arizona shoots 43% from the floor, destroys them, the rim and the paint in terms of rebounding and scoring in that section. We'll dive into all of that and get to the Arizona State preview as well. Can Cincinnati bounce back and get back into the winning ranks heading home from this road trip and get a nice little split? All that coming up on this episode of Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the Big 12 regular season conference champion for 2025-2026. Arizona, a firm favorite right now to lift that crown, minus 135 overall to win the Big 12 conference regular season crown. Houston right behind them at plus 250, and then Iowa State at plus 750, BYU at 9-1, and those are your only teams with lower than 10-1 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook to win the Big 12 regular season championship. So many ways to bet with FanDuel. You can make wagers on the UFC, PGA Tour, horse racing, Canadian Football League, National Basketball Association, college football futures, some win totals available for people. Not the UC win total just yet, but that'll pop up over the next few months. So many ways to wager with FanDuel Sportsbook. Make them your sports betting choice today. Get into the show after these messages. Tough result for the Cincinnati Bearcats as they were trying to parlay top two wins together in consecutive games. Iowa State victory kind of papered over some serious issues that the Cyclones were bringing into that game. I wouldn't say that Iowa State was playing like the number two team in the nation entering that contest, having lost a game earlier in the week by double digits to the Kansas Jayhawks, who were unranked but a very talented team coming into that contest. Iowa State was playing more like a top 20 team than a top 2 team. Arizona was playing much more like a top 5, top 2 outfit coming into this game, and they played like that throughout this game as well. UC got the full taste of what one of the best teams in the nation, playing like one of the best teams in the nation, can do to them. 77-51, only 2 UC players in double figures in the lowest scoring output in a full game this season for Cincinnati, which has had one of the worst offenses they've ever had. Actually, the worst offense by efficiency so far this season of the Wes Miller era. They're back outside the top 200 in overall offensive efficiency on the campaign per Bart Torvik. They're 202nd now. And coming into the game, they were in the top 140 in overall efficiency over the past 10 contests, but Arizona slammed that rise shut. Any case of that, as Baba Miller was 5 of 13 from the floor, Sean Abayev 3 of 7. Everybody else horrendous. Day Thomas 2 points, Jizzle James 4 points, Sincere Harris 1 point, Mustafa Cham 5 points, 1 of 7 shooting. Got really nothing out of most of the rotation in this game, and the guards were horrendous, absolutely horrendous in this contest. 7 combined points from your 3 lead guards in Thomas James and Sincere Harris. You have 6 turnovers from those 3. 7 points, 6 turnovers. That gets you to a crispy -3 total efficiency score in this game combined from those 3 players. You're just dead on arrival when your backcourt plays that bad, and you get nobody besides Bob Miller with 5+ rebounds in this game on the UC side. He had 6 boards. Everybody else failed to hit 5 in this contest, including the 7-footer Mustafa Cham, who had 4 rebounds in just 17 minutes. Fouls, a huge issue for Cham and for Sincere Harris at that. Both players with 4 fouls in this game, along with Jalen Celestine. And on the other side, Arizona, no weaknesses. I said that, we said that coming into this game, that the Arizona Wildcats do not have any glaring weaknesses at all, unlike the Iowa State Cyclones, who did have the free throw weakness. That wasn't really on the table for Arizona, who only shot 71% from the free throw line, but took 28 free throws, brought the physicality to Cincinnati in this game, had 4 players score 12+ points, led by Karchinov at 14 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist, and then Koa Pete as well with 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and the best player on the floor in the entire game was Montias Krivas with 17 points, 7 of 9 shooting, 9 rebounds, and just complete control in the paint for Arizona. They only took 13 threes in this game. They are a team that does not like to take threes, and UC did not force them to take the amount of threes that they needed them to take, especially given that Arizona was ice cold shooting in this game. 23% overall, but 42.9% in the game, enough to win this contest, and largely because they had 7 more shots in this game, 8 fewer turnovers than the Bearcats, and 13 more rebounds. I mean, if you lose the turnover rebounding margin by a combined 21, you're just dead on arrival. We talked about that in the preview, how UC has to win these games on the margins as a team shooting one of the 70 worst field goal percentages in the country so far this season. They were terrible again on Wednesday, shooting the ball 30% overall from the floor. And on the season, they're shooting 42.1%, 323rd nationally. So I gave them too much credit with a top 75. They're bottom with a bottom 75. They're bottom 50 in that respect. So when you're a team that shoots the ball that poorly, you just simply cannot lose on the edges like Cincinnati did here. And it's why it didn't even matter that the Wildcats missed 10 threes and 8 free throws. They just had too much of a math advantage in this game. And it just shows how far Cincinnati has to go. They're now 2-4 in the conference. There is 12 games remaining in the regular season. In all likelihood, they have to win every single game rest of the way. You look at the Quad 1 contests remaining. They have won 1 of those so far this year against Iowa State. They are now 1-8 in Quad 1 and 2 matchups on the campaign. There are 5 Quad 1 games left, 6 Quad 2 games left, and a Quad 3 matchup against Utah. Next game on the docket, 93rd in the net ranking system, Arizona State Sun Devils. That could fall to a kind of scary Quad 3 scenario if Arizona State keeps falling. They would have to fall precipitously down the net rankings to sub 135 ranking. But there's just it is what it is for the Bearcats this season. They just are not a very good team. They're a mediocre, kind of middle of the pack team overall in the power conferences. And when you're that kind of team in the Big 12, one of the best conferences in the entire country, it just means you're going to be near the bottom of the entire standings because there are not very many mediocre to bad teams in this conference. It's just very hard to see things turning around enough for Cincinnati to build the resume required to get into the NCAA tournament. You look at the Big 12 right now over at bracketologist.com. They project this conference to get 8 teams into the dance as we sit here today. 7 teams into the dance as Baylor has fallen precipitously over the last few weeks. 1-5 start in conference play has knocked them into the projected non-tournament team range. But, I mean, those 7 teams, the lowest net ranking among those 7 teams is UCF at number 38. And then you get TCU at 46th, Baylor at 53rd, West Virginia at 58th, and Cincinnati now down to 72nd in the net rankings. And when you look at team rankings, flawed, yes, flawed, but you have to use some kind of projection system overall, and their bracketology is pretty similar for the Cincinnati Bearcats. It's not looking good for UC this season. It would be pretty stunning to see the Bearcats kind of climb out of this hole, as I mentioned. Team rankings giving Cincinnati a crisp 12% chance to make the NCAA tournament this year, and they have Bearcats projected to finish 15-16 overall, very similar to Bart Torvik's projection of Cincinnati going 16-15 overall and 8-10 in conference play. Clearly, that record not going to be enough to save this season and ultimately keep Cincinnati from going another year in the 2020s from missing the NCAA tournament. Although one of those projected wins, I agree with the Arizona State Sun Devils. A tight contest likely on the board Saturday evening. We'll get to that preview in just a moment right here on Bearcat Blitz. Presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the NFL playoffs this weekend. And they have a Choose Your Reward boost for FanDuel users this weekend. You can pick a no-sweat bet option or a profit boost token. You get the pick when you log into your FanDuel Sportsbook account for matchups between the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams. Drake May and the Patriots are minus 245 moneyline favorites to take out the Denver Broncos on the road, a place where I'm pretty sure New England has never won in the playoffs in Denver. And then you got the Rams traveling to Seattle. The Seahawks minus 138 moneyline favorites to win the NFC Championship and take Sam Darnold to the Super Bowl. How crazy would that be? Those wagering options available to you, and you can use one of those Choose Your Reward tokens on those games across the FanDuel Sportsbook. Your choice for Conference Championship weekend in the next few days. Taking a quick break on Bearcat Blitz. Cincinnati Bearcats taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern time tip. I believe there might have been a late tip earlier this year, but I believe it's the only remaining late action for the Cincinnati Bearcats as they get ready to wrap up their 2-game road trip to Arizona and try to come away with a split here. Something they have to do if they want to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. A loss to Arizona State would definitively brush anything that could happen the rest of the season, with the win-out hopes the only thing remaining right now. It's pretty much over as it is. This team would be stunning to see them win out the rest of the way, but and over to the Fat Lady Sings, and she could sing on Saturday night in the desert when Cincinnati takes on the Arizona State Sun Devils in Tempe. They are a 62.5% matchup predictor favorite on ESPN's Basketball Power Index to get the win. Cincinnati enters this game ranked right in the top 60 nationally on Ken Palm's overall ratings so far this season, and Arizona State is a little bit further down. Arizona on the season, 92nd nationally on Ken Palm, while Cincinnati is down to 54th nationally on the Ken Palm metrics. Interesting matchup for the Bearcats. One that I think they should win here. I would be pretty shocked unless we get another just fall flat on your face backcourt performance from these guards. UC should come away with a victory in this contest. They have a lot of good matchup advantages here, particularly with what Arizona State likes to do well offensively. That's where they shine for the most part this season as the 92nd overall team on Ken Palm. They're 69th on offensive rating and 144th on defensive rating. So much better offensive team this year. And that's in large part because of throws. Similar to how Colorado manufactured a lot of their points to average over 85 points per game coming into their Cincinnati contest. Arizona State 79.5 points per game so far this season, and they're hitting 18.1 free throws per game, 24.3 free throw attempts. That's 48th and 54th best nationally. And you look at the Cincinnati Bearcats, yes, they were uncharacteristically foul happy on Wednesday night against Arizona, but they've done a really good job for the most part of limiting teams in their path to free throw attempts. I mean, on the season, they're only giving up 11.5 free throws made in conference play. That's third best in the entire Big 12. And they're 56th nationally with 12.4 makes per game for the opposing team on the entire campaign itself. So, and that's the biggest way that Arizona State creates points consistently. I mean, they have 3 players averaging at least 3.2 free throw attempts per game, including Anthony Johnson at 4.8 free throws per game. He is one of their 3 players who averages double scoring figures as well. Third leading scorer in Johnson at 13.8 points per game. Top scorer is Mo Odom, 16.4 points, 6.5 assists, 2.9 rebounds. So he's the offensive engine that Cincinnati's largely going to have to slow down here. But a guy that, unless he gets super hot from deep, which is where he takes most of his threes, shouldn't cause a ton of game-changing issues for the Bearcats, shooting just 38.1% from deep this season, but 38.1% overall this season, 34.8% from deep on 6.2 attempts per game. On the year, this Arizona State team is pretty solid across the board, but they don't do anything besides those free throws at a really strong, high, consistent rate. You look at the opposing teams they faced, giving up 21 personal fouls per game. That's the 13th most in the country. UC just needs to stay disciplined here, and they should be able to, I think, even with a bad shooting game, bring enough offense to the table against a pretty lowly defense to be able to get this one done. I mean, Arizona State's opponents are shooting 46.3% overall this season from the floor. That's 301st nationally. And in terms of three-point percentage, UC, they're going to have wide open threes in this game, and that's where it could get close, and Arizona State could end up pulling out what might be a projected home upset if they are a actual underdog in this game, like I think they might be on the betting line once that comes out later on Friday afternoon, is the three-point battle here. You see horrible on the three-point line this season. I mean, just horrendous. On the campaign, they are shooting 30.2%. That's 338th nationally, and it's even worse in conference play. It's somehow gotten worse, people. 26.2% from deep. Easily last in the Big 12. So if Arizona State does not give up their normal 36% three-point mark to opponents this season, which is 317th nationally, if that is closer to UC's average of 26%, and that's 3 or 4 threes that aren't going in for UC that they've normally gone in against Arizona State's opponents, well, you don't need to be a math major to know that's 9 to 12 points of variance right there that could go Arizona State's way. Maybe UC makes up for it with not allowing as many fouls on the other end and keeping Arizona State from scoring in that sense to win those out. But UC cannot shoot 25% or 20% from three and expect to kind of comfortably win this game here. It's going to go down to the wire if that happens. But overall, I got the Bearcats winning this game 71-69, a close kind of rock fight battle that the Bearcats get back on the board in the Big 12 with, move to 11-9 on the 2025-26 season for Wes Miller's crew. For Neil Meyer and the FrontOfficeNews.com, I'm Russ Eltman with Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy the late night hoops action. We'll be back to recap it all next week with Neil Meyer in tow. Enjoy the fun, everybody.
6, Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big one in the Beach Bowl. This is a big one, too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play